Welcome to the Church of Thomas. Winners, 12/30/07. I was watching a TV show that aired a program called Winners. It had interviews with people who had succeeded in business and became entrepreneurs. There were several wonderful points made that tied in with this sermon that I have been contemplating. The first point was that often people who succeed have failed, often more than once. They did not blame the environment for the failure. They looked at themselves to find out where they went astray. The second point was that seeing a need, a niche that you had an idea how to fill. That was just the beginning. You had to be willing to invest your life in promoting it until others could see the potential through your eyes. The third was the USA was a unique freewheeling style that inspires innovation in a way that many other countries have so far not matched. The idea people from all over the world come to the USA to build their dreams. When I was 18, I discovered a congregation that had a dream of filling a need. That was 30 years ago. I saw the potential for it to fill a niche that was not being explored until then. I asked God if I could sponsor them. They were preaching many things that the Church of Thomas had taught me. One of these things was that God had no gender. They were also building their congregation on the idea that gay, lesbian, bi, transgender people were also children of God. The only things that were not in line with the Church of Thomas that I could see were that they were making it a gay church, and they were Trinitarian. I was not overly worried about these aspects. I thought they would outgrow the gay church idea, and I have many Trinitarian friends, so that was not a serious matter either. My mom did not support this because they were forming large congregations. As she so often told me, get enough Christians together and they behave in very unchristian manner. I like the social aspects of the gatherings because I'm a very social person. When I saw the politics, I glossed over the drawbacks because I cared about these people. I was involved in many branches of this congregation. When I saw one forming, I would pitch in and give them a little of my enthusiasm to inspire them. God seemed to have me show up at pivotal points in their formation. It was a viral sort of concept. The founder was a minister that had been disowned by his original denomination. In the beginning, it was much like the way the Church of Thomas home churches formed. They would study together, form relationships of fellowship, and start calling themselves a church. There was no central clearinghouse to tell them to follow a certain game plan. Each formed and developed or failed as they needed to. The first half of the 30 years I was very involved in a Church of Thomas sort of way. I did not like showing off. I did what needed to be done and left before they could praise me. When I met Christians that felt alienated by their birth denominations, I suggested this new group. I told them that they might find welcome there and a Christian home that could heal them. The last 15 years I was wandering in the desert. My personal problems kept me from looking in on these people to see how they were doing. It was a big mistake on my part. I definitely could have warned people earlier. What they did with the knowledge was up to them. What I found when I came back to Texas was a very mutated group of congregations. They had started churches in many countries of the world. They were number-driven. The bigger a congregation was directly reflected the esteem given them from member churches. Spirit and welcome were way down the list. Money now was coming in first place. It was very sad, but it was the tip of an iceberg. The very freewheeling style that built them was thrown out in the name of efficiency. They had to jump through no less than a year of hoops to qualify as a member church. They assigned a minister. You could not keep your leaders if you did not toe the party line. That party line included open practices of sorcery. The last straw for me was the time that the altar was used to demonstrate a different ritual than Christian. Then, without even re-blessing the communion plate and cup, continued on to Christian ritual. This demonstration was from voodoo. I did not take communion, and I said goodbye to my friends and never went back. When they asked me why I left, I told them that God does not share an altar with anyone. They did not get it. I did a quick assessment and found that two very serious problems had developed. Every single church associated with this group was infested with demons. I soon found out that it had become a farce. The services continued to be in a Christian ritual manner, but there were other services held in the same places. I found that they were drawing Christians in with the Christian rituals, then talking them into being open to other rituals. Those that were firm in their faith left, warning others that this was a cult. Those that were desperate and not always knowledgeable about Christianity assumed these were Christians. I realized later that they ruled by fear of rejection. The phrase that I remember painfully from my youth was the mafia who ran the gay bars saying, "You have no other place to go." I heard exactly these same words from the pulpit during a sermon by these people. A bolt of recognition shot down my spine, shocking me to the core. The gay church brand had become permanent. There were straight people attending, but they were there for the sorcery, not the Christianity. To practice and blend voodoo, witchcraft, sorcery with Christianity is self-defeating. To also promote this blending as Christianity is blasphemy. I have no problem with groups that openly say, "We practice everything." They're not claiming to be Christians. Once they put greed over spirit, they had hit the slippery slope. They started including non-Christian ritual to appeal to the many Wiccan, sorcery, and voodoo practitioners. They lost the ability to fight the slide by regimenting the church formation to weed out their naysayers. They used their long drawn-out process to discourage new churches that did not have an open attitude towards their rituals. Gays and lesbians are not judgmental as a rule because they know what it feels like to be persecuted. The leaders use this to indoctrinate new members by insinuating that it would be divisive, judgmental, and unwelcoming. They equated all religions with Christianity. I have purposely not named this group. Those that see what I am talking about in their church should consider leaving even if it is not the group I've been talking about. There are other denominations that share the fate of this group of which I speak. Those that do not see it are either in a true Christian congregation or they are in denial. In either case, I cannot help unless they ask for it. So returning to the TV program on Winners, I'll tell you what I have learned. I failed in the quality control part of my sponsorship. I have the tenacity and will to promote this church that I now head until it is represented in all the countries of the world. God always wins, so I'm on the winning team. There is still a niche to be filled. There are millions of straight, gays, lesbians, bis, transgenders longing for a Christian home. I finally learned the lesson my mom tried to teach me about size and politics. I came home to the Church of Thomas. The answer to all of these issues is, of course, the Church of Thomas. Without the need to finance a hierarchy, it will not take 30 years. After 9 months, we are represented in 4 countries. I suppose I will need to learn a new language or two. God says I'll have to travel at some point. I leave those details in God's hands. Embracing all people does not mean lowering our standards. We lead by example, not by imitating others' failed policies. We are Christians and those who may be Christians in the future. I have a live and let live policy for non-Christians. God is the only one who can judge. We leave their disposition in God's hands. It must be emphasized that Church of Thomas is a church for all the children of God, not just the outcasts of the world. Jesus embraced all, so do we. We love, we do not judge. To keep our rituals purely Christian, is our calling in memory of Jesus and his sacrifice. I encourage everyone to let God wipe your slate clean so that you can start again renewed. God bless you. God bless the whole world, no exceptions.